This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
So 5 days from today, we will have kickoff in 4 hours. From Dublin, Iowa State at Kansas State, 11 a.m. on ESPN. You'll get Idaho State at UNLV after that. Fresno at Western Kentucky. Stanford at Hawaii. Week 0, we are here. It's game week, Greg. We made it. We made it to game week.
Week 0, turn up. Farmageddon from Dublin.
What does Farmageddon mean?
It means that's the name of the rivalry game, kind of. Or one of them.
Sorry?
Yeah. Kansas State, Iowa State.
It's called Farmageddon?
I'm calling it that.
Oh, I was going to say, I've never heard that. That was one that I missed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Farmageddon's like the name of a real game.
But some things that maybe we would need to pay attention to quickly before we go into Alabama and some injury news from over the weekend. Iowa State, Kansas State. We mentioned this last week. Like Iowa State, y'all need to be watching out for. This is a team that could really put together a good season. Has the makings of being like a Matt Campbell special with an upgraded quarterback. Just be careful there. Kansas State, are your expectations as high for K-State as they have been the last couple of years? Not that they can't put a good season together. I don't think that Chris Kleiman's ever going to let the thing fall off the map. He's got his way. He's got his system. His guys play a certain way. Therefore, there's a lot of years they're going to be who they are regardless, and they're not going to be a team that I think we look at and say, oh, well, just don't have to worry about them. You'll be able to steamroll K-State. I just feel like 2 of the last maybe 4 or 5 years, we've had really high expectations for Kansas State. You got Avery Johnson at quarterback, so it feels like it could be a solid season, but this kind of plays into what you've been talking about with the Big 12, Greg, just how deep that league might be this year.
Really, really deep. But I think Kansas State's one of those teams that I don't know how they're going to get there. They're going to get to 8 wins at least. And that means they're going to lose a couple they probably shouldn't lose. They're going to win a couple they probably shouldn't win. And there's going to be a point in the season where you're like, what the heck's wrong with Kansas State? There's going to be a point in the season where you're like, you know what, Kansas State's a real playoff contender. Like, they're one of those teams that could go either way. Now, I think Avery Johnson, their quarterback's got a chance to take a big step. A little inconsistent last year. But my biggest concerns with Kansas State is their best teams have been teams that were built from the inside out. They, over the last couple of years, have really had quite a bit of turnover along the offensive and defensive lines. And they're not one of those teams that's just going to plug and play, rinse and repeat, all as well along the offensive line. They're a developmental program, and Cole, their best teams have had great offensive line play. That's not the case this year, more than likely, based on known commodities.
Well, you go get a tackle in George Fitzpatrick from Ohio State, so talent there. Sam Hecht is back at center. You might be better there. And here's the really good news for Kansas State. You may have really upgraded at wide receiver because they got Jerron Tibbs from Purdue, and everybody on earth that gets a transfer from Purdue, that player is a lot better than they were at Purdue. So that actually might work out really well for Kansas State. Also, Jerron Bradley transfer in at wide receiver from BC and Texas Tech. So that third go-around, that's usually the year for guys to start to shine in college football. So we'll see if the receiver position can be upgraded there. Idaho State at UNLV. Obviously, the Dan Mullen era will begin there at UNLV. We saw what this last staff under Barry Odom was able to do, exceeded expectations by a mile. Put together, and I don't say this lightly, some of the best seasons in UNLV football history. That's real.
I don't think it's some. I think it's the 2 best.
Well, no, they had a couple other, like 2 other standout years, so it would be in the mix with those. But yes, like 2 maybe top 5 seasons all time. So can Dan Mullen keep that rolling? Anthony Orgean, potentially a quarterback. How's that going to go? And then Fresno at Western Kentucky, Stanford at Hawaii a little bit later on next Saturday. We'll have live tackle football, though, on your televisions, and then that will be unbelievable. Some live tackle football in Tuscaloosa over the weekend with a scrimmage that took place that did have some consequences. First, a recap from Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer on just his takeaways from Saturday.
Offense did some nice things early. Has to do a better job of sustaining it. and the defense doing a good job of responding. That's really general, but that's kind of how the scrimmage went. So got a lot of red zone work in at the end, slowly building up, and got some reps on that. Tuesdays and Thursdays practice was really good from some live action. So from Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, and again today, we've got a lot of tackling in, a lot of work, full pads, and so I like just kind of the stamina we've had that way, and just how much tackling we've had.
So there you go. Some physicality that took place in this scrimmage for Kalen DeBoer over the weekend. Some updates before we get to the headliner of the weekend. Jaden Roberts, James Smith, O-line, D-line, both been a little bit dinged up. Kalen DeBoer updates their status.
Two guys that didn't scrimmage today, Jaden and James, same as last week. James is actually starting with him. James has been working through and building up. Feel good about the progress he's had in the week of practice, and with it being live, needed to hold back there, but he's getting closer by the day. Jaden has a concussion, just tell you what it is, and he's going through the protocol of that, and so hasn't done anything from a team standpoint, starting to work back into that protocol, which included being out there today but not participating in the scrimmage.
I like that the fact that he's missed two practices or two scrimmages, Greg, the last two, is because of a concussion. I don't like the fact that it's been this long in camp that he hasn't been out there. That would tell me to maybe be a little bit wary of that early in the season, because I promise you, playing on the line of scrimmage, you're never in good enough shape week one. You just aren't. You're not. I'll go back to the whole Clowney thing when the SEC network started and everybody's getting all on him and whatnot, and I realized he was a guy that took some plays off during his career, but like you're never in good enough shape week one. You're just not. You're not used to it. You're never used to actual game speed and the adrenaline and the crowd and everything that's going to get going. So you take an offensive lineman. Trust me, I've been there. I've been out in the preseason and then tried to come back. Like your wind, your conditioning is something that now becomes a real concern for Alabama inside early on. Yeah,
and frankly, the other guys have had pretty good camps, so it's not something I'm super concerned about. Like, they're excited about Cam Dewberry. They're excited about Gino Vandermark. And God's honest truth, like, Jaden was a liability last year. I mean, just whether you want to look how big, look how strong he benches, like, was banged up last year, so I hate it for him. Like, I want him to be back. But him being out does not alter my perception of what this team can become along the offensive line. I thought he played really sloppy football at times last year. And that's okay because he was banged up with one arm most of the season. So I'm going to let him off the hook. But it also was a bit of an indicator to where they were last year and not having the quality depth to be able to replace him. Now they do. So if he's at less than 100% or if he can't quite get right before week one, it's okay. Like, take your time, get back, and when you are healthy, get back out there. But right now, they're in a good spot with the depth they've had and the depth they developed. So no reason to put him out there if he's less than 100%.
All right, so that's a little bit of injury news there from the Alabama line of scrimmage. But Ty Simpson, who was behind that Alabama offensive line, how Kalen DeBoer thought he looked in the scrimmage over the weekend.
I thought he came out and executed the offense. Just continues to be steady. Finds his times to make the plays. And, today he actually used his feet again. And that's, I think, something that people will probably underestimate as we go through the year, just what his ability to make plays and keep plays alive. But I thought he was steady. He was consistent. Probably a higher completion percentage than what he had last scrimmage. Maybe not quite as explosive. I think that's a tribute to our defense and what they did as well. So good both scrimmages for him, and just continue to make the progress. And I think building the team and getting the momentum going.
So you love to hear that he's continuing to build, GMAC. You love to hear, we've talked about it a lot this preseason, command of the offense, just getting guys lined up correctly, making the moves, the motions, the shifts correctly, getting people in the right spots. No procedure penalties, no delay of games, trying to run guys onto the field, not getting out of the huddle in time. It sounds like all that is ahead of schedule for Ty Simpson. You would expect it to be, but it still has to be something that we pay attention to because we haven't seen him as a regular starter.
Well, just nice to know that there's been no steps back, right? You get starting role, you get announced as starter, you continue to execute at a high level. And I think lost in a bit of the translation right there It's nice to hear that the defense is shored up and is not giving up the big plays that they might have given up the week before, because that was something that was problematic. Occasional bust in coverage, occasional lapse in coverage leading to a big play. So it's important, I think, to acknowledge that this is a group that has gotten better on the defense side, and they're not giving up the big ones. I think the big thing for Ty is just continuing to progress. Don't try to be a hero. Stay within the offense. Run the offense efficiently. Distribute the ball to your playmakers. All that stuff is great. Don't take any steps back because you now have this new lease on life because you're the starter. Continue to keep grinding like you did up to this point to earn you the starting job. And don't get too greedy. Don't get too aggressive. Don't try to do too much. Just keep progressing, and then those things will eventually come to fruition as the season gets going.
So that's Ty Simpson. That's the good news with what happened in front of him, what happened behind him. There was some bad news coming out of camp that took place there. That is behind the quarterback. We'll get to that on the other side of the break. But first, Kalen DeBoer on moving practice and why he wanted to have practice at a specific time of the day at this point in camp.
We actually had it originally scheduled earlier, moved it back just to get a little more heat, and got some good heat out there. That was probably one of the best things we got out of it today. It was one of the warmer days, and saw that all week brewing, and so took advantage of it. It's going to be 2 weeks from today at this time we'll be playing, so talked to the guys about that a little bit, but it's good for us. We even conditioned at the end, did some extra work, and so just trying to get ready in every way possible.
Wait a minute. He said we even what at the end of practice? What did he say there? We even
stretched?
No. Just play that again. It's not exactly what he says, but it's the fact that we're saying this that maybe has me a little taken aback here. Kalen DeBoer on the end of practice. I got to hear this again. I'm sorry.
At this time we'll be playing, so talked to the guys about that a little bit, but it's good for us. We even conditioned at the end, did some extra work. And so
he says this, Greg, like we just decided to finally do this. Was there a practice you didn't condition after?
Well, they don't condition after scrimmages with this group as often.
Well, we did.
Of course we did.
Actually,
too.
Those were some of our worst things.
Yeah. We used to scrim. Actually, it's funny when we went to the scrimmage last week. We actually talked with a couple guys about it. It's like, remember when we used to have to go down, put our hands down, and run 40-yard dashes after the scrimmage?
Well, because there was usually people at the scrimmage, and the coaches wanted to prove a point.
100%.
Oh, watch what these guys do after practice.
Look how hard we are. Of course. No doubt. That's exactly what it was.
So it's y'all's version of get a pump in?
Yeah, 100%. Like, the best part about the whole deal was Coach Saban would always freak out because he'd be like, I don't understand. The quarterbacks are running fine. Like, yeah, because we didn't have a full contact scrimmage. We didn't play a 70-play game and then have to run conditioning drills at the end of the game. Like, the quarterbacks had a practice, basically, and we didn't get hit, and we didn't have to do all the things the other guys had to do. So you always just get mad at everybody else on the team except for the quarterbacks. We endured our wrath during the scrimmage, I can promise you. But you just get mad at everybody else because they weren't running as hard as the quarterbacks were because we were the only ones that didn't get hit in the practice.
Yeah, it's the
quarterbacks look great. Why can't the rest of you run like the quarterbacks?
Well, Coach, one, they don't do anything in practice other than throw screens.
Mm-hmm.
The only run they do during practice is the one bootleg we had. But other than that, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Can't figure it out.
Yep.
All right, there was some other pretty important injury news from Tuscaloosa over the weekend. We'll get to that when we come back. Let you know how Alabama's running back depth chart may be looking now and how it might be affected. If you've listened to this show, you'll probably know that it's not one that we're going to feel very good about. Before we go on to break, though, Greg, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Polar Bear Services has been doing so many things for me for a long time. Always grateful to the experiences that I have when working with Wes and the guys at Polar Bear Services. They do such a great job. They do so many things around your house. They've already helped me out so much with the HVAC system. It's been wonderful all summer long. It's been one of the hottest summers ever, it feels like, and yet we have had no issues whatsoever thanks to our friends at Polar Bear Services and the electrical and the plumbing. They're probably going to come out for our plumbing here recently. Probably coming out here pretty soon. Our water pressure has not been great, so get them out, fix that. That's now a great service they've added to their repertoire of services. So highly recommend you checking out Polar Bear Services. Remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or airs, pick up the phone and call the Bears, 205-497-BEAR. It's 497-BEAR.
Pretty significant injury news out of Alabama. We'll discuss it next right here on Mac and Cube in the morning.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, three-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:18, Monday, August 18th, right here on Jocks. Joey Aguilar named the starting quarterback in Knoxville. We'll get to that. Hear from Josh Heupel a little bit later in the show. Michigan announcing they will appeal the NCAA, GMAC. 10-year show cause for Harbaugh, 8-year show cause for Connor Stallions. Some folks still saying not enough, and that what they received, anyone would pay for that in order to win a national championship. I don't think even if you know other people's signs, it's going to guarantee you the ability to go win a national title. However, some penalties significant, such as Harbaugh and Connor Stallions.
Well, it essentially ends any possibility of Connor Stallions ever becoming a college football coach. Based on his interviews, I'm not sure you'd want him as one to begin with. But what's amazing about this is that 10-year show cause basically becomes a 14-year show cause because it starts in 2028, which means as of right now, he's had a 4-year show cause before his 10-year show cause basically starts, because he's kind of been he's been in the grinder at least the last couple of years. Now, does Harbaugh care? No. This is much ado about nothing. He's not coming back to college football. Making $20 million a year with the Los Angeles Chargers. Probably going to be there a bit. They got a pretty good team. They got a pretty good organization. And by the time he gets fired there, which based on his track record is a strong possibility, or before he wears out his welcome there, he will have already cashed like $100 million.
And someone else will want him.
Not sure he's too concerned about that. Somebody else might want him in the NFL, but not in college.
He's not going to have to worry about coaching anymore if he doesn't want to. He doesn't. I mean, what'd you say his quote was? You play, then you coach, then you die. Essentially,
yeah, you play as long as you can, you coach as long as you can, then you die.
So, hey, I could see him going to middle school or high school and coach, just 100%. Saying, I don't care what y'all do, what y'all say.
Correct.
Watch this.
Correct.
I got enough money. I
ain't scared.
I'll figure it out. We'll be just fine here. So
correct.
So that's kind of the news from Michigan over the weekend. Also, over the weekend, Alabama took a hit at running back. And all reports on Jam Miller injuring his shoulder, and seems to be one, Greg, that's pretty significant. There are a lot of different issues that can go down, specifically at a running back with a shoulder. You can jam it. It can be something that's got some ligament issues. You can break your collarbone. There's a lot of things that can take place, but oftentimes we'll hear about guys being held out because they don't want to make the injury worse. This is a little bit further down the road than that, and one that actually could affect Alabama in the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's I think most people are probably aware it's around the collarbone injury, but it's not as simple as just a broken collarbone. Without being allowed to go too deep in the weeds about the specifics, this is not just your standard 4 to 6 week clavicle injury. There's a little more to it. It's a very unfortunate injury. Ironically, it's an injury that I experienced, but very different the way Jam experienced it. Trying to think of like how I can phrase this without getting too deep in the weeds. This injury is something that I was able to play through as a quarterback. It was on my right shoulder, right clavicle, but it was not good for about a month. And frankly, this was an injury that could not get worse because the bone was 100% intact for me. I don't think that's the case for Jam, so it's a little bit different, but the actual other aspect of the injury beyond the hurt clavicle itself takes time, and it's painful, and it is going to be a little bit of a process. So best case scenario, Georgia, sounds like hopefully he'll be at that point without pain, but I don't know at this point. So very unfortunate injury. He's had a great camp, and he's a great kid, and it was really, really, really looking forward to seeing how he's going to play this year, but probably not going to see him for a little while. But here's hoping that he can get back, be pain-free for the stretch run of the season.
I mean, you can go back. You and I were so excited to watch him sort of be the feature guy and get the opportunity. And with an offensive coordinator coming back in, that's probably going to emphasize the downhill run game a little bit more. An offensive line that looks like it can be pretty good. We thought there was a real setup here for him to have a big season. You go Florida State, ULM, Wisconsin, then you get a week off. So as Greg said, at Georgia feels like a likely possibility. Go ahead and get to that bye week. Alabama should be fine against those first three opponents. Not that there are not aspects about Wisconsin or Florida State that could be dangerous. Nonetheless, that would be one that makes sense. And even if you missed out when you get back for Vanderbilt at home, and then you get him for the home stretch for some difficult games down the stretch. So how will it look without Jam Miller if he's not available for the first few weeks of the season? That's kind of the next question that a lot of folks can ask. Richard Young, Daniel Hill. We've talked a lot about Dre Washington and what we've seen from him on film at Louisiana Lafayette, Louisiana, the University of Louisiana,
Cajuns,
the University of Louisiana in Lafayette, Louisiana University, ULL, UL Lafayette, the Cajuns, the Raging Cajuns, where we've seen his film. I just want to cover all my bases there because I don't need the AD calling the show. He can play. He's a good player. He's somebody who I really like. And I think when you see his stature, he looks like this little bowling ball. You're like, oh, okay, he might be physical, but when he gets in the open field, he can go. He can get away from you. So it's not that there won't be numbers there, Greg. It's just Jam Miller felt like he could be different in this offense, and I think that's why we were most excited to see him.
Correct. One thing that's kind of disappointing about the Jam Miller aspect is he's really solid as a pass catcher out of the backfield. And with a young quarterback, that outlet to the back is really helpful. And knowing that you're getting to your best ball carrier is really helpful. So that's unfortunate. He also is a veteran, so it's decent in pass pro. I did talk, I think, a couple weeks ago about the depth they have at running back. Beyond that, you referenced Dre, but I like Daniel Hill. I like Richard Young. Like, I think they have enough to be able to get into a bit of a downhill style of attack. The unfortunate part of this, though, is that it now kind of put a little bit more of an onus on the passing game. Not to say they're not going to be a ground and pound outfit. I think that's, in a perfect world, what they want to be. But in the event in which your backs aren't super dynamic and can't go the distance and they're a churn and burn 3, 4, 5 yards in the cloud of dust type team, which is fine. They're going to be physical runners, but the big plays being created by way of the run game is not something that I anticipate a ton of with the current crop. With Jam, I think it's a possibility every time he touches the ball, he could go the distance. I don't know if that's the case for the next three. It also brings into the forefront the possibility of a freshman in AKD or maybe finding his way on the field, who's got some juice, who's got some ability, and can potentially manufacture some big plays. So if you want bruisers, perfect. Bama's got plenty. But if you want that guy that can take it the distance, I think they just lost him for a foreseeable future with Jam Miller. So be curious to see next man up mentality, see who might be able to come in and create some big plays on the ground.
Malik Deer's son?
I don't think that's Malik Deer's son. Malik Deer's son is
a pretty tight window.
And I believe Malik Deer, was he DEAR?
I believe so.
I think he might have been too.
Yeah. But he was an interesting little cat to watch play.
Not to be confused with like what Bambi is.
No.
DEAD?
Malik.
Bambi's not. That's Bambi's mom.
I'm sure. I mean,
spoiler.
It
came out in the 60s.
Though, Greg.
I mean, I feel
Disney characters live forever. Technically.
Yeah, don't say that, John. I'm sure live action Bambi's coming.
Malik Deer though, he was a fun little player. What was he, like 220? But he played the slot.
He might have been 5'8", 220.
5'7".
Bowling ball.
Yeah. He was a fun player to watch in college.
Faux show.
All right, so that's some injury news coming out of Tuscaloosa. How does it affect the team moving forward? Where will Jam Miller be missed the most? A couple of things I'll add to this quickly. One, what Greg just said about outlets to the running backs. In this offense specifically, that is not always a check down. There are multiple plays and reads in this offense where the back is much earlier in the progression than there is in a lot of other offensives. This is in the weeds a little bit. I get it. I understand it. But just realize that throw, that route, that player at that position hits a little earlier in this offense than it does in a lot of others. So, therefore, the importance, like Greg mentioned, that does begin to show up. Also, as Greg said, he's had a great camp. Those are reps that had been going to somebody else. And so now those will be game reps that have been missed. And that's just a couple of tiny tidbits that go along with that injury, because that's when we say it matters, those are the reasons that we're talking about and why it matters, GMAC, because those specifics of exactly how things operate with Alabama's offense and then how the reps have been doled out through the course of fall camp.
Well, that, and you referenced the wheel routes, the shoot routes, the swing routes, all the different things that the backs are expected to do. It's a pivotal piece of the offense. Very, very important. Now, if you look traditionally at the numbers, rushing has not been huge. But another thing that this kind of goes back to is, man, it stinks that Justice Haynes is gone, right? Not because Justice Haynes was a complete dynamic difference maker. I don't think he was. I think he was solid, but based on his recruiting rankings, people probably think he was a little better than he was. But had that additional experience depth would have been nice in this scenario. We saw this last year with Texas. We saw this last year with Texas A&M. We saw this last year with a handful of schools. We saw this last year with Ole Miss. We saw this last year with LSU. Running back depth can become a problem in an instant. Instant. So, and look, this is here's hoping that Jam can be back and have a 100% healthy season upon return. But backs, you can go from having 3, 4, 5 deep at the position to all of a sudden being down to 1 or 2 in no time. So just something worth monitoring and something to be aware of in the event in which a guy gets dinged at some point here in the near future. So how many times did we say this last year about running back depth for a bunch of different teams?
Multiple teams. It's big. You have to have more than one. The guys aren't just a workhorse 38 carry a game guy anymore. It's not really what it is. Plus you involve them in the passing game like you do now. It's another area in which you look at they have to be a part of the game, and those reps become critical. So yeah, it's all big. It all matters. Kind of like your home. Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas group know this. If you need to get into a new home, they want to help you do that today, and they're going to be the best at doing it in Birmingham. Why, you might ask? Well, they serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Gusty Goulas Group recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. Google Gusty Goulas Group right now. You're going to see over 855-star Google reviews. Brokered by eXp Realty. Call 205-542-1996. That's 542-1996. To let Gusty Goulas just see what he can do for you today. Let him tell you how much your home's worth and what they think they can get, or what homes are going to be coming available that they could potentially get you in. 205-542-1996, or go to GustyGoulasGroup.com. All right, when we come back, we'll go to Auburn, check in on how things went over the weekend there. What positions looking good, what positions are struggling, and we got a starting quarterback news for you later this hour that we need to get to. All that and more next right here on Jocks.
The capital of the sports talk nation. This is Jocks 94.5 and JocksFM.com. Birmingham.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Head down to Auburn. Some discussion on exactly how things looked over the weekend there. Justin Hokanson will join us at 8 a.m. to give us an update on the Auburn Tigers. Sounds like things progressing in Auburn, GMAC. Running backs having a good camp so far. Offensive line protection has looked pretty good. And I hear a lot of compliments on the defense. A lot of compliments on Auburn's edge defenders, on not just how they're rushing the passer, but how they're playing the run, how they're setting the edge. The front seven, I think, has exceeded expectations, and the fact that that doesn't mean that they've dominated probably a good thing, because the O-line's been pretty good too. I think run game probably from an O-line perspective could be a little bit better, but when your quarterback's not live, you're not as worried about that, and you don't have a lot of tight end help. You could see where maybe it wouldn't just overall be dominant, because a lot of the run stuff in full pads in practice, I mean, defense knows there's not a lot of pass they have to be concerned about. I mean, those linebackers aren't looking at RPO windows. The defensive ends aren't worried about quarterback keeping the ball. Things can be just a little bit different. That can open up later. I'm not overly concerned about that. Protection, that's really good news. Not that it needs to be super elongated a lot of the time in this offense, but not having leakage in protection, I think a really good sign for this Auburn offensive line right now.
Correct. And I think what was the problem coming out of week one, right? Week one scrimmage is that, hey, you know what? Things don't look great up front along the offensive line. That's to be expected week one. It's not about where you start. It's not about scrimmage one. It's about where you go from that point. How we feel about the run backs? We feel good about them?
I think they're fine. I don't think they're dynamic. I don't think one is necessarily leaps and bounds above the other, but more than serviceable. Not going to be an issue heading into the season, I'll say that, because I think all are different and all have looked pretty good at times. So if you feel like you need a workhorse, maybe you're concerned. I don't really feel that way because the workhorse wasn't worked last year. So it doesn't feel like they're going in that direction either way.
Fair enough. But in the event in which they are a better football team collectively, is that going to allow for them to maybe lean a little more on the run game to take some of the air out of the football? They got themselves into some jams last year.
That's
time to time.
Absolutely accurate, yes.
So they got themselves into some jams last year. But when you really look at it, they were kind of in throw it mode a few times where they probably needed to be. And they were not really in ball control mode very often. I think a lot of last year's challenges were not so much an unwillingness to run the football, but more of a we stink up front at times along the offensive line. Like at times last year, they were pathetic along the offensive line. At times. Early, and once they made a couple adjustments post-Georgia game, things got a whole heck of a lot better. But how much of their unwillingness to run the football had to do with the fact that their offensive line and one position in particular, left tackle, the fact that those guys were not trustworthy?
Totally fair.
So I think that's a big part of it too. So I'm hopeful that if the offensive line's better, they'll run the ball a little better. So it certainly wasn't always. Everyone always says, "Oh, it's just they got to feed Jarquez." Great, yeah, Jarquez was great, but the O-line in front of him were really, really untrustworthy, and it's hard to hand it off when you don't trust your guys.
And that's I agree with that. I believe that. And also when you're not 100% certain that it's going to work. And there were only a few times last year that it looked like there was the utmost confidence in the Auburn run game from everybody involved. It looks like collectively is, I would say, how I would describe the running back position going into this season. I think tight end is still a little bit of a concern. And by all accounts, it sounds like quarterback is fine, is better, is where they want it to be. I'm not going to go a lot further past that, GMAC. I don't know if that sounds satisfactory to you, if that's where Auburn fans want it to be. I don't know if Auburn fans think it needs to be overly dynamic. I think a lot of what I hear about camp is that quarterback's fine, offense is good, defense has been doing a lot better than people realize. And not necessarily dominating things, but, and this may be something that puts my mind a little bit more at ease, defense has been doing a lot through scheme. So the whole letting Jackson Arnold just kind of live that life in an easy fashion might be going away. So I don't know what you feel like you want or need to hear about quarterback coming out of camp. It's probably not going to be super exciting, but I don't think that's bad news for a lot of Auburn fans.
I think having a low-key, solid quarterback play is perfectly fine. I know nobody wants that. See Notre Dame's quarterback competition, people losing their minds. Having a solid quarterback that doesn't make mistakes, that understands where he fits in the offense, that distributes, that does all the things that the coach wants him to do by making sure that they just continue to move the chains. Manufacture big plays is great. Everybody wants 2019 Joe Burrow. You're not going to have that. That's okay. You don't need to have that to be good. For the record, just methodical, efficient. Methodical and efficient. Methodical and efficient. And if you have that, you have a chance. So I think no news is good news on the quarterback spot, especially given the inconsistencies at the position the year before.
All right. We'll talk a little bit more about Auburn with Justin Hokanson at 8 a.m. There are a lot more that we need to get to there. Some injury news, some depth news. We'll discuss that with him. But when we come back, there has been a starting quarterback named in college football. There's been a few. We'll run through a couple of those, but one in particular you need to hear about, and it's what you need to hear about him that will probably surprise you and maybe excite you about watching him actually play football this year. We'll give you all that next right here on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, three-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
All right, welcome back in. 7:43. It is game week. Week 0 is here. college football will be on your TV screens live, full tackle, Saturday morning at 11 a.m.
You going to watch it?
I actually will probably not get to watch a ton earlier on Saturday. My son and I are doing a basketball camp this weekend.
Boop.
So kind of like a father-son deal.
Love it.
So I don't know if I'll be able to just camp out. I think it's over around noon or something on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I might not be able to just sit and grind on college football. I have to go back and check the tape. Put him to bed early in the hotel Saturday night. Be like, I got to watch some film, kid. Get to sleep.
Love it. Where are you going?
It's a Bruce Pearl father-son basketball camp.
Nice.
So I'm actually really excited about it.
Be good for your back.
Be great. I don't think there's a lot of running. I actually checked on that.
No, I've been told there's actually after the scrimmage you have to run sprints.
Yeah, and I was hoping
Suicides.
stadium steps is what I need.
No stadium steps.
Arena
steps.
I need to actually bunny hop the stadium steps. That would feel much better for me.
Here's the good news is the gym at Auburn, I've been told, is quaint. So you don't have to run up that many steps.
Quaint.
That is a very intriguing description on your part. I don't even know what that means, but yeah. Sure.
Means it's not enormous.
So.
Like if you're running up Jordan Hare, probably not ideal.
Done it.
You can run up the jungle steps,
and
it'll be just fine. It'll be much more doable and air conditioned. Much more doable in the jungle than it is Jordan Hare. So if you're going to run stadium steps, I highly recommend doing them in the jungle.
When I had a broken foot going into my junior year.
Yeah. I love where this is starting. When I had a broken foot going into my junior year. All right, great start.
We would practice in the stadium, and my conditioning, quote fingers, because I couldn't practice, was a weighted vest under my pads, shoulder pads, keep in mind, shoulder pads and helmet on.
Yeah.
50-pound dumbbell walks up and down the lower level stairs of Jordan Hare Stadium.
Bye.
I'm sitting there like, okay, one, why are helmets and shoulder pads even necessary here at this point?
You gonna play without them?
Like, the weighted vest feels like it would take the place of the shoulder pads.
Weighted vests become a real thing.
Oh, we don't even need to get into that.
Become a real thing because you are working much harder.
When you say real thing, you mean every soccer mom on America has a
don't limit it to
on.
moms. Do not limit it to moms.
Which is embarrassing.
That
because
is sexist.
A lot of
because
dads
I have
in my
seen plenty of
neighborhood-
dads rocking that vest.
And I've asked 3 different
You
ones
added
in our
8
neighborhood.
pounds to your chest.
I've asked 3 different in our neighborhoods, and they'll be like, I was like, really? Does that thing help? Yeah. How much? I don't know. It's my wife's.
I got news for you. I don't know how the operation works in your family. But after my workouts, my wife doesn't want to look at the things that were on my body, let alone re-wear the things that were on my body.
So then I get a
How often would you be okay rocking how would Kat feel? You rock her weighted vest. Probably a slight to moderate glaze, I would think. Maybe a slight sweat.
Yeah, probably, especially if it was outside walking around.
It's going to be like when you do 2-a-days and you put your shoulder pads on for the second practice. What's worse than that? Imagine your wife putting on her weighted vest that you borrowed from your workout that morning or that afternoon.
They don't deal with that anymore. It's not that way.
They have 2 sets of shoulder pads?
No, you go to like a Auburn or LSU, they have like the hose off system before they get to the locker room.
Like they spray them with a hose?
There's like a spray room. Seriously, there's like a spray room that you take your shoes off and like your gloves off, and you walk in and it washes everything off. And there's they hang it, and there's like a dry room also that they hang it.
Also known as a sauna.
I'm just saying you go in and it sprays everything down, and you go to the next room and you hang your stuff, and then you go in the locker room.
Have you installed one of those at your house for when you wear Kat's weighted vest walking around?
Actually, I need that next to our Peloton, which I won't be on the Peloton for about 2 more months, but not comfortable.
Good visual.
It was worse than I thought.
No, you don't say. Yeah. Somebody cuts your stuff. I'm sure it feels great. Oh, it doesn't hurt.
I didn't realize they were going in 2 spots, by the way.
Well,
but as my wife said, well, there are 2 of those, so I guess.
How big a boy are you?
Both need to be managed. It was a very laid back weekend for me, by the way.
I'll say.
And I did not expect it to still be impacting me today, in which it is.
100%. I've been told it's a 2-week process.
Yeah, it's a process. Yeah, the basketball camp this weekend will be very laid back.
Here's the good news: you probably won't get any
perimeter
hernias.
game is going to be on.
No rebounds?
Nope.
No, okay.
Not blocking anybody out. No. Keep everybody else away from me.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Are the kids in school yet? Almost. Bell rings in 42 seconds, so we should be in good shape.
No, they're all dropped off now. Yeah, we're good. You can wait until 8:15 if you want after Hope and talk about it.
Well, you never have to wait for your dental care. That's because Family Care Dental has you taken care of. The urgent care office where you can be seen the same day. Sounds like Cole needs some urgent care, but not necessarily for dentistry.
Yeah.
But I will say this. Several locations to make it easy on you: Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trustful. Those that need emergency care can get in. They can also see you on Fridays, Saturdays, which is great during the school year because it's just hard to get dental appointments. If you need to do it on Saturday, you can do it. Don't get married on Saturday, starting this Saturday, but you can get Family Care Dental to get you in before the games get started, which is great.
Speaking of things that were unnecessary, that read, number one.
Not done yet. I haven't given the number yet.
Appreciate you
taking
the freebie out for him. So you wanted me to stop that conversation so bad that you just went and found a read.
I don't know where you're going to go with this, and my kids aren't in school yet. So Family Care Dental, 874-9605. Most insurance plans are accepted, accepting patients of all ages. Routine care now comes with free teeth whitening. 874-9605. One more time.
You don't have to do this today.
That's Family Care
It's
Dental.
not on the list.
874. Yeah, it is.
It isn't.
You're right. It doesn't matter.
So
I'm going to get a freebie in anyways.
So that's a place if you were to lose teeth that you could go to, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of losing things, back to Cole.
Yeah, no, we're not doing it now.
Oh,
he doesn't want to do it now. We'll
Losing
do it later.
manhood.
We'll do it later.
What? It happens to bulls and stuff, and it happens all the time.
What, they're on parade?
Does it happen to bears?
Maybe.
Because
How big a bear are you?
Bachmeier has been named the starting quarterback at BYU. He is a Stanford transfer. There are reasons that this is intriguing. There are reasons that this is interesting. I want to let you hear a clip from Cam Newton, who on his podcast, Fourth and One with Cam Newton, was shown a clip of Bear Bachmeier in high school, and this was his reaction.
And was his number 47? No. Defenders, you must identify the context clues. If a quarterback got a number other than the 19 other numbers that he can wear, you know that ain't trying to damn throw the ball. This dude got 47. John Lynch out there, man. What are you talking about? You think he about to sit up here and throw it like Josh Allen? Hell no, he got bad intentions. 47 at quarterback, my boy. It got to be a backstory. And that's a story I ain't trying to figure out right now. My boy, you just got to, as a defender, you just got to know your surroundings.
6'2", 225. Bear Bachmeier will wear number 47 as the starting quarterback at BYU.
That's disgusting. That is disgusting.
All right, the next Tebow. Okay.
Oh, God.
How happy is Cole?
I actually love it.
No, I know. Absolutely. You knew he would.
I mean, we've talked about this being one of the this is absolutely one of the top 5 worst numbers on the football team. I mean,
it's up there.
Cam mentioned to John Lynch. Outside of that, you can't come up with another one. You just can't.
What was Atwater? I think Atwater was 47. 27. Dang it.
Yeah. He's
also
in the 20s.
Deese.
Ronnie Lott, 42, so that wouldn't count there.
Do that.
Every fullback ever lived, 44 or 40.
Yeah.
So a couple safeties, 41, and a running back, 41. 47 is not really out there. There's just not many. But
Fred Warner.
What was the Michigan quarterback number that he wore to honor? Was it 98?
Devin Gardner.
Oh, Devin Gardner. Yeah.
To honor like one of the old players? Okay, like that. There's a lot of 98s we can point to. Not a quarterback. But, yeah, 47 is disgusting. But I appreciate the just complete middle finger to all quarterbacks all the time. And just we're going 47. Yeah. The NIL possibility is still endless. No. Steve DeBerg wore 19. Joe Montana had a time where he wore 19.
You don't like 19?
No, 19's terrible.
A lot of receivers have worn 19.
Yeah, that's fine. Receivers kind of swaggy.
19 is not near as bad as 47.
39's the worst. We all agree. Anything in the 50s, 60s, or 70s for a quarterback would be off limits.
49's not great.
It's better. It's better than 47, but it's not by much. 39's still the worst.
40 numbers that are acceptable in my opinion. 40, 41, 44. After that, Alex Lincoln wore
45 's not
43.
bad.
God bless him. I think they just gave it to him and he's like, I'm not changing. It's not a good look.
45 is not bad.
That's why
You said 40, 41, 44.
No, go look. I saw like a little like photo reel over the weekend online somewhere, and it was like an homage to giant shoulder pads, and Andy Katzenmoyer was one of them. Go look at Andy Katzenmoyer in an Ohio State uniform and tell me that still wouldn't go over well today. The giant numbers. It is interesting how Ohio State has scaled the numbers down as much as they have.
Ohio
I like
State's-
them back when they were gigantic.
Yeah, back in the day, they looked like Madden 64.
It was cartoonish, and I loved it. Katzenmoyer was like one of the first players to wear the silver visor, like the mirror visor with 45 and the giant numbers and the shoulder pads that like his helmet actually didn't go left or right because the shoulder pads were so big. Yeah, it's an awesome look. It still is, especially for an inside linebacker. So there are positions that can make it work. Quarterback, you just don't feel like a 40 number works. It's just not one you're used to seeing.
No.
So, but it'll be fun to watch it this year. Bear Bachmeier. You in or out, Greg?
In. I
See,
think
we thought BYU had quarterback problems. Little do we know now they're solved. He's got a guy wearing a 40s number, which means he's either going to throw for 2,800 and run for 1,800 and have like 50 total touchdowns with 4 total turnovers, or he's going to be a complete disaster, one or the other.
What I would say is that BYU around the quarterback should be really, really solid. They should be really good. So if their quarterback can just kind of manage the game, I think they have a chance to be pretty solid. The problem is you're going with the true freshman. And a true freshman, with all the great things that could come with the true freshman down the road, managing the game, situational awareness, those are usually a bit of a learning curve. So they're going to have to really do a good job of kind of coaching around that. And if they can, they'll be all right. If they can't, in a league that's very, very tight, they could lose a couple games because situationally they're not great. So I'm a little concerned about it, but it seems like they could be playing for the future a little bit down the road because Bachmeier is a highly regarded prospect. So
Well, if you remember, his brother Hank played college football also.
might still be playing.
His brother Tiger is also on the team at Stanford. So he has another brother named Buck. So you have Bear, Tiger, Buck, and their sister's name is Ella. What happened there? There were no animals.
Mom put her
named
foot down?
after?
Could have named her what?
You had 3. No, this
Yeah,
was
Mom
mine.
finally said this one's mine. There are no animals. She's
trying to think like a
named.
girl. It would be like Unicorn
Pony,
Bachmeier.
Doe.
Pony.
Pony Bachmeier,
Pony be good.
Goldfish. Call her Goldie for short.
This is McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.